Hello music producers and sound designers, this is KCox, and in this tutorial, we're going to create kick drums using Ableton stock plugins. But before that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell for new music, weekly videos, and production tips. Let's get into it. If you have Ableton Suite, then you can create drum samples. There are several ways to create kicks, but in this video, we're only going to be using two instruments, that's operator and analog. I made all of these three samples using analog and operator. Take a listen. Now, there is no right or wrong way to create a kick drum. I usually use Serum, but I know a lot of producers might not have Serum, so I'm going to use stock plugins. When in doubt, use what you got and make it work. So let's load an operator and analog. So with this, I'm going to click drag Command-Shift-M for a new MIDI track. You can just you can duplicate it down to the analog channel. We're going to draw in a simple C. As I see, let's take it down a couple of octaves. Let's go to C1. Now just duplicate that into the analog. I press Command-C, Command-V, copy paste. That's our operator. Now let's listen to our analog. Alright, now with operator, you're going to hear a little click at the end because you want to affect their release time. We don't want that click, so just pull the release time on this oscillator right here. Play with it until you get comfortable to what sounds good to you. This sounds pretty good. It's just a simple sine wave. Now let's go into our analog, turn oscillator 1 off, turn oscillator 2 off, turn the noise on. And this is the result. Simple white noise. Let's go into our amp. Let's turn the release all the way down and the sustain all the way down. And this is the result. Now the reason we're doing this, the noise will give the attack of the kick drum. There are three parts or three components to a kick drum. You have the kick, the body, and the tail. The noise or the analog from the analog will give you the kick, the initial attack, and the operator, the sine wave from the oscillator will give you the body. So together you have this sound. It might not sound like much, but that's when it comes to effects. Let's click both. Click on the operator channel and then hold down Command and click to click both. Let's freeze both of them and then flatten both of them. This is how our MIDI looks in audio form. Alright, let's just trim this down a little bit. I'm holding Command E to cut and then deleting the space I don't need. Alright, now let's make this loop a little bit shorter. Gucci. Now, we want to bring the volume of the analog up. So let's group them together. Hold down Command click, then hold down Command G to group them. And this is your group sound. Now, a trick I use, I push the white noise a little bit ahead of the actual sine wave. So it kind of sounds like a flam, but you still have that kick. You still have that kick before the body attack happens, if that makes sense. There we go. You can kind of start to hear it formulate. Now, it's effect time. There's nothing wrong with effects. I love effects. Add in as many, as little as you like. One tip I always tell my sound designer friends, my music producer friends, there is no wrong or right way to create a sound. It's really up to your liking and what feels good to you. So let's add a glue compressor. All the glue compressor does, it compresses, it brings the loud noises down and it brings the soft noises up. So we're gonna just glue these two together to where the noise will be almost as even with the sound of the sine wave. So let's bring the threshold down a little bit. That's like -12. Then bring the makeup gain up to about 4 to 5 decibels. Click on soft clip. You can hear it becoming a kick. Now let's mess with the fades on the sine wave because we don't want the kick to be too long. Unless you're in like dance music, the kick will be pretty lengthy. It'll be really subby. But right now we just want it to be a really short attack. Nothing too crazy. That should be good. Now we're gonna resample what we just created. Hold Command T for a new audio track. Trigger it. Click on this icon right here to trigger. Click on resample. Click on N. And this should resample the master. So let's record it. There we go. Super fast, super simple. Now let's solo the channel. This is our new initial kick. I'm gonna turn it up because my default is at -15. It's not sounding too bad actually. Sounding pretty good. Now it's time for some more effects. Add another glue compressor. We can add OTT. Let's get rid of some of that top end. And let's add an EQ just to cut some of the frequencies out. I'm going to do a low pass and a high pass actually, but turn the Q up on the high pass. And let's get rid of some of the mids because we want the snare to cut through. And we don't want the kick to interfere with the snare. It can actually be a little bit shorter. Let's fade it down some more. Now we can freeze that, flatten it again. And now we're going to add in some third-party plugins. You could use a limiter, you could use some more compressors, but I'm going to just use Waves L2, it's a maximizer. Using a mono because you want your kick to be mono. We're going to load in the L2 mono setting, and then we're going to pull the threshold down until we find a sweet spot or a nice comfortable loudness. And I'm going to add another maximizer because I'm going to over compress, just go crazy OD on the sound. So I put in the L3 maximizer and just pull the threshold down until you feel comfortable. Just getting there, it's still not to where I want it. Let's add a glue compressor. Soft clip on, makeup gain, threshold down. Now let's freeze and flatten that with our L2 and the L3. And there you go. That's your kick. Now, it's not as loud as it could be. I could throw in some more like limiters. I could throw in native Ableton's limiter and just crank it. I could do that to get it like a maximum sound. Throw on my favorite limiter from Waves. It's more stable than Ableton's stock limiter. And then I want to actually trim this down. I hear a little click on the tail. Go to fades and just slightly pull it in. Now the click is gone. And the attack is there. And you can see it within the waveform. This is the kick, the initial attack. This is the body. And this is the tail. And there you have it. Simple kick. All you needed was a sine wave and some noise, and glue them bad boys together. Throw some processing on it, some crazy effects, and then that's your kick. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please help me out by liking this video and also subscribing to my channel. I'm almost to 500 subscribers. I need your help, and it will help me a lot to keep growing. And if you have any questions or suggestions for future tutorials, comment below. Ciao.